Hello everybody, John Scritchwell back here again with another video, and today I bring you another movie review. Yes, today I'm going to be reviewing John Wick, and I know I'm kind of late to the party here with this movie review, but because this movie did come out practically over a month ago, but at the same time, when this movie was premiering, I really had zero interest in this movie, but at the same time, I still had interest, a little interest, and earlier this week I went in to see it, and I was really blown away. It was completely an amazing story, and it was fully entertaining, and Keanu Reeves definitely, steps his game up. So here's going to be my overall review of this movie. First off, the entire movie was done by a first-time director, which was pretty badass to see, because we didn't really get that much first-time director debuts this year, I think. So I mean, we got a couple, but this one was pretty entertaining. But anyways, the overall plot and of course, if you have yet to see the movie, this is going to contain spoilers. So, if you haven't seen it, go check it out right now, then come back. But anyways, the overall plot of the story is that Keanu Reeves plays John Wick, a former hitman who used to work for the Russian mafia. Now, basically, the opening of the movie itself is very vague. We don't get really an overall narrative of like what John Wick is about and what this overall story is about. It kind of opens up with a train wreck, and then it goes into his general, regular routine. And we kind of get the feeling that he's kind of like a loner, but at the same time we get to realize that he has a wife and that his wife has been suffering through cancer and that she finally ends up dying in the beginning of the film. And throughout the movie, the beginning of the movie, he is thrust with pain, of course. He lost the person he loved, and in the middle of all this heartache, he essentially gets a gift from his wife before her death, in the form of a dog. And this dog is kind of like this new breath of, fresh air, and he's kind of have a little bit of hope left in humanity, in a sense. But then, after all the goodness of this dog and all the happy times they have together, which was basically just one day, essentially, I felt that was kind of weird, but then again, what are you going to do? But anyways, John Wick kind of comes, thrust into this dangerous situation with Russian thugs, and through the night, at that same occasion, they kind of break into his house, destroy his house, just beat the shit out of him with aluminum bats rather, kill his dog, smash his shit, and just steals his 69 Mustang, and and then that's the beginning of the story. That's essentially it. That's kind of like the overall opening sequence. The overall opening sequence is like giving the guy that you don't want to fuck up a reason to kill you. That's essentially what the entire opening scene of this movie was. And then everything after that is basically action, 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 action. It's just John Wick seeking revenge for the little fucking Russian assholes who killed his dog and stole his car. Now, I think overall this movie was kind of vague on telling us a lot of things about John Wick and about this secret society of assassins and Russian mafia, mob, and, I don't know. There was a whole bunch of really vague things that you're not really told about, but I think that's a good thing, It's a good and a bad thing. The bad thing is that you don't really understand what everybody's about in this movie, but at the same time, it's a good thing because it gives you, a lure of imagination when it comes to the characters, like John Wick. He's kind of like the strong, silent type. It's the classic story of former super badass assassin who left the life to start a new life with the person that he loves, and then the person that he loves is gone, and then he has a reason to go back into the fold, and then just goes on a full assault on everyone that he used to work for. That's essentially the overall story. Now, we've gotten that before, and it is a classic storyline, which I really appreciate and inspired by. But at the same time, I wish they could have done a little bit more to give us a narrative on all these characters. Like, for instance, there's various assassins, there's various secret societies that we don't really understand, and also there's a lot of untold, like, what happened to this person, who's that person, who's that, how is he connected to he. It's just one of those things that, that the writers or the director was incapable of telling us. And once again, it just goes into that form of, like, it's good, but then it's bad. But overall, the movie was entertaining. I love the fact that it was over a dog instead of a girl, and I thought it was interesting overall. It was a very entertaining movie, and of course, in the lore of movies like this, where it's just the good guy is kind of like the bad guy, and essentially he just goes on a full assault, killing everybody, we got a lot of that this year. We got that with, like, the Equalizer and stuff, so it kind of makes sense that this movie would come out during this time period. And I think it works. Keanu Reeves obviously hasn't really been, killing it as he used to. I mean, like, the last couple movies he's been doing obviously weren't the greatest. But I think this really did a good job. I mean, like, because I'm pretty sure all of you and myself really went into this movie thinking, like, Keanu Reeves as a badass, I don't really buy it anymore. I mean, like, back in the early 2000s, maybe, but now I really don't see it. But Keanu Reeves does a badass job. Like, you can see that he still has the ability to do action type, crazy sequences. He, like, throughout this movie, he's just kicking the shit out of everybody. He's fucking shooting everybody at close range. He's just beating everybody down so badly. It's awesome. It's just so badass. I mean, like, if you love hardcore video games and all that Call of Duty bullshit and just, like, fucking, like, shit blowing up in your face, then you're gonna love this movie. It's completely entertaining. Keanu Reeves brings it. He's badass in this movie. And, pretty much, he's kind of like the only character you root for. I mean, like, there's various other characters that you kind of go for. You have Losov, Turzov, I don't know. I can't speak Russian, so it's kind of hard for me. But the antagonists in this movie really do a good job at trying, but at the same time, the entire cast, you didn't really need anybody in there. Like, there are some, like, notable faces in this movie, like Willem Dafoe, or, like, Dean Winters, or John Leguizamo. There's actors there that when you see, but I think the good thing about having those kind of actors in this movie and not really having them do that much has a lot to do with Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, even though he doesn't talk a lot in this movie, and it just helps. It just helps, It just does a good job at conveying he's angry that the last bit of hope and humanity that he had within that one dog after the death of his beloved wife is gone. He is just complete fucking destructo fucking roid rage on all these fucking Russian people. So, I don't know. It was personally really badass. I personally loved it. The story was completely awesome and badass. Of course, it's a story that's been said before in multiple medias. Classic. It's just the classic story of, like, super badass hitman, assassin, mercenary kind of guy who used to be the ultimate badass, then left the life, now has come back into life and is seeking revenge. It's that classic kind of story that we've seen multiple times. But I think it's done so freshly and awesome, and Keanu Reeves plays it out so well that it just feels original. Even though you've seen that story before, it just feels original. So I don't know if that has to do with the writers or the fact that you didn't really have any big time, actor villains in this movie. It just works, and it's just amazing. Everybody else did a good job, but then again, it's just, they didn't really have to be there. They were just kind of there just to be there. So it's not like anybody here is, like, really outstanding, but because Keanu Reeves is majority of the movie, and the majority of him is just killing all these people, it's kind of unnecessary to really say, like, oh, this actor blew me away. So, but overall, the movie and the production and the style and the action, and it was just awesome. I think everything in this movie was awesome. Keanu Reeves definitely brings, a lot to this performance that he hasn't really brought in previous films that we've seen. So I personally recommend it. It's awesome. It's badass. I give it a full 8.5 out of 10. It's really badass movie. I mean, like, in the style of movies like Equalizer that we've gotten this year, and if you want more stuff like that, definitely check out John Wick. If you want to see your protagonist or antagonist, whatever you want to call it, your lead of the movie, just go out on full rager and just kill everybody in your movie, then you're going to want to see this. It's completely awesome. But overall, the movie itself was great and entertaining. I just wish there were some things that I did not like. Of course, I mean, first off, Keanu Reeves, he obviously doesn't have a lot to say in this movie, but I think the majority of lines that he does get to say, I don't think were that necessary. Like a lot of it felt out of character for a character that supposedly, in the reality of this world, was the ultimate like boogeyman badass, as they call him in the movie. So I don't really see it was necessary to have him talk that kind of way. They should have had him either not talk at all or just like, kind of mumble his words or something. I don't know. But overall, I think Keanu did a good job. Another thing I kind of felt was unnecessary, or something they should have done more of, was John Wick's wife, Helen Wick. They didn't really have her character featured that much in the movie. I mean, the sake of the humanity of John Wick and the vulgar kind of, this depression of Keanu Reeves' performance is brought to the dog, and the dog is the mainstay. But at the same time, I felt they could have used the wife a little bit more. But overall, I did enjoy the movie. In the comment section below, let me know what you personally thought about this movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think about Keanu Reeves? Overall, I loved it. I think Keanu Reeves is back in action, and I just personally recommend this movie. But that's going to be it. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. I've been John12, and I hope you guys enjoyed.